Paratmanamekam Jagadbijamadyam Niriham Nirakaram Onkar Vedyam Yato Jayate Padyate Yena Vishwam Tamisham Bhajeliyate Yatra Vishwam. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dear devotees, so in the last class we had seen a very interesting idea presented by Bhagavan Sri Krishna, that is about the relativity of this entire universe. Starting from verse 16 to 21. These verses are all dealing with the relativity of this mysterious thing which we are experiencing and which we are referring to as universe. And we had seen the graphic presentation starting from the plane of Brahma down to the grossest entities which are existing in this creation. And describing that plane of Brahma, we had seen what is one day of Brahma and what is one night of Brahma. And in relation to that, what is the time frame of the human beings? Means here Sri Krishna is presenting to us vast, unthinkably vast spans of time. The central thing that we have to hold on to, the main idea is, no matter how vast the time span may be, they are all just momentary in infinity. In infinity, Brahma's 311 trillion years, 311 trillion human years, which is the one lifespan of Brahma. That is just like one moment in infinity. But that is the beautiful idea which we need to capture. It is a relativity. Here everything is momentary. What we are thinking to be vast span of time, it is all just kshanikam. It is all momentary. It all comes to an end in infinity. So that is the beautiful picture which Sri Krishna presented to us from verse 16 onwards. Now the whole struggle is to get out of this trap of relativity. As it was discussed in the last class, no human being or no living creature can be happy inside this relative plane. We may have all the pleasures, sensory and physical pleasures, but these physical pleasures can never make the living being fulfilled. It is not possible. Why it is not possible? Because as living creatures, we find ourselves to be limited in a small body-mind complex. Whereas our true nature is nothing other than infinity. Now, how can the infinite find happiness in a small framework of a body-mind complex? It is impossible. In and through this physical and mental structure to which we have become identified, in and through that, no matter how much pleasures you seek and you successfully get, you can never be fulfilled because you are the infinity. So, fulfillment will only come when you go back to your true nature, which is infinity, which is Purnam. Unless we go back to our Purnata, till then, no one can sit quiet. That is why you see in this creation, everyone is restless. Every living creature is restless. We are all restless. Why? It is inherent in us. We cannot rest in peace. No one can rest in peace unless we rediscover our Purnata. It is only when we rediscover our Purnata that you become Shantam, perfectly silent. Till then, you cannot sit quiet. Now, this is the inner meaning of that famous utterance of Kathopanishad, where the Rishi says, Uttishtata Jagrata Prapya Varan Nibodhata, which Swami Vivekananda freely translates. It's not a literal translation, but Vivekananda's very famous utterance. Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. You cannot stop actually. We are all struggling to find, actually we cannot be satisfied with momentary bliss or happiness. We want infinite bliss. That is the very psychology of all living creatures. We cannot be happy with tidbits of pleasures. It cannot be. No one can be satisfied unless we have infinity. And that infinity is our true nature. Purnata. That's why that famous mantram which we always chant. Purnamada Purnamitam Purnat Purnamudachyati Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyati. Actually here everything is Purnam. Everybody is Purnam. But we are suffering from ignorance. That's all. Now, all the scriptures and the great masters, it is all trying to show us the way to do away with this existential ignorance which we are suffering from. That's all. That's the only meaning of this. When this ignorance is gone, you will be astonished that we are all Purnam. Even now we are Purnam, this very moment. It is not that you are going to become Purnam. Even this moment we are all Purnam. There is no Apurnata in us. It is impossible. How can the Purnam become Apurna? Only in ignorance. We are imagining ourselves to be something else. And this imagination is based upon nothing but ignorance, avidya. So this is what Krishna was telling us. This relative plane of existence, this is all subject to rebirth. Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartinorjuna mam upetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. So starting from that highest plane of Brahma down to the lowest plane, all the planes of existences in this relative plane, they are all subject to rebirth. No matter which plane of existence you attain to, you have to come back to the human plane to work out your karma. There is no escape. And there is one reality, the supreme reality, which is distinct from this plane of relativity. That is what we studied in the verse number 22. In the verse number 22, Krishna said, Purusha sapara partha bhaktya labhyastvananyaya. Beautiful point. We touched upon this in the last class. Krishna is saying that there is one reality which is distinct from this plane of relativity. Here everything is apurna, but distinct from this relative plane, which is a creation of Maya, which is only an appearance, just like your dream experience. In the dream you have your entire Brahmanda there, is it not? A very big question comes. Is the dream world actually existing? Similarly, here also, in this waking world also, it is just another dream which is going on, which we are not understanding. All the rishis, they are making us understand this point, that this is also just another dream which is going on. For some people it is a good dream, for some people it is a nightmarish dream, but it is a dream. Good dream or bad dream, nightmarish or whatever it is a dream. It has to break. So Krishna is telling us, distinct from this so-called dreamy existence, relative existence, there is one reality. And that is our true nature. And the goal of human life is to realize that. How are we going to realize it? How are we going to attain it? Krishna uses a beautiful term. bhaktya labhyah. That supreme reality can be attained through bhakti. Beautiful. But what kind of a bhakti? Ananya bhakti. Beautiful. This Ananya bhakti is further elaborated in the ninth chapter, next chapter, which we will take it up later, where Krishna says, Ananya shintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate, and all those things will come. So this Ananya bhakti, where there is no other entity apart from Ishvara to which you can be devoted. Or you may say Ananya bhakti means one-pointed devotion. When our devotion to the Supreme Reality becomes one-pointed. Again I repeat, when our devotion to the Supreme Reality becomes one-pointed, not many-pointed. Presently our devotion is many-pointed. It is not one-pointed. We all have devotion for Ishvara, but along with that we have devotion for many other things also. Devotion means attachments, weaknesses, longings. We are not longing only for Ishvara, we are longing for many other things apart from Ishvara. Now this is not one-pointed devotion, this is many-pointed. And this is happening owing to the delusion that we are suffering from. And what is the delusion? A delusion is that in which we think that apart from Ishvara, there is a second entity called Jagat. This is what I have been repeatedly emphasizing. It is not me who is emphasizing, it is Krishna who is telling us. The rishis emphasize this point. We have to change our vision. We have to ask this question to ourselves. Is there a second entity apart from Ishvara which is actually existing distinct from Ishvara? Is there a second entity, a separated entity existing apart from Ishvara? This question we have to think about. We have to get an answer to it. Unless that is resolved, this one-pointed devotion is difficult to come. It is only when we come to a firm conviction and when our vision is transformed through the kripa of Shastra, through the kripa of Guru and Acharya, whenever we develop, it is a development, it is a blossoming of a new vision in which we train ourselves to see everything as Ishvara, which is the reality, and which has been touched upon in the 7th chapter, the earlier chapter, in the 13th chapter. In all these chapters, the emphasis is on this point that whatever we are experiencing, this is all nothing but Ishvara and Ishvara alone. There is no second entity called Jagat. What we are seeing is not a Jagat. There is nothing called world here. It may be very, what should I say, a difficult thing for us to digest, but it's a fact. There is no such thing called a world here. There is no such thing called jivas here. Actually speaking, from the supreme standpoint, it's not the case. From the real knowledge standpoint, whatever is existing is Ishvara. But we have to now, through a practice, a certain kind of a abhyasa, we have to train our mind to look upon everything as Ishvara's form. That will help us to develop this one-pointed devotion. When we begin to see the same divinity existing in every form, every man, every woman is nothing but God's form. When we develop this drishti, you see, then we are constantly in touch with Ishvara because there is no second entity apart from Ishvara. Now your devotion will become one-pointed. Through this kind of one-pointed devotion, Krishna is saying that supreme reality can be attained. This we have seen in the last class. So beautiful. So Purusha sa parapartha bhaktyas labhyas tvananyaya, ananya bhakti. And Shankaracharya in his commentary very beautifully he comments, he says, what is this bhakti? This bhakti is jnana lakshana bhakti. So beautiful, amazing. This bhakti has got jnana as its central characteristic. Jnana lakshana bhakti. Its essential characteristic of this devotion is knowledge. But Sri Ramakrishna beautifully says, Jnana Mishra Bhakti. If you all remember, those who are the regular readers of Kathamrita, Sri Ramakrishna keeps on saying, what is the way? Naradiya Bhakti. And what is this Naradiya Bhakti? It is Jnana Mishra Bhakti. A bhakti which has got the characteristic of knowledge. What is knowledge? Ishvara alone is existing. Advaita. It will all end up in Advaitam always. Advaitam, Vishishta Advaitam, all fine, no problem. But it is Advaita which takes in everything, perfectly fine, nothing is rejected. That is the beautiful vision which comes from Advaita and Advaita alone, in which everything is beautifully synthesized. It's a synthesis. Everything is beautifully embraced, nothing is left out. Knowing that whatever is existing, it is all Ishvara's form. So beautifully. You create distance or you remove the distance. That is your problem. When you make distance, it is Dvaita. Dvaita. We are creating distances owing to our ignorance. And lessening of this distance between the Jiva and Ishvara is what we are heading towards Advaita. Finally, where all the distances come to an end, it is Advaita. Where you make distance owing to ignorance, it becomes Dvaita. Even when Dvaita is there, it is Advaita only. In ignorance, it appears to be Dvaita. So, this is a beautiful vision which comes out from this kind of an Advaita standpoint. So, Sri Krishna says here, this is the bhakti which is Jnana Lakshana Bhakti. Shankaracharya says, it is through this Jnana Lakshana Bhakti that you can attain that supreme reality. Yasyantasthani bhutani yena sarvamidam tata. That supreme reality is that in which all the multitudes of beings are inside that supreme reality. And it is that supreme reality which is pervading everything. Means there is nothing apart from that supreme reality. So we have seen till this point. Now a new section starts. From verse 23 onwards, almost till 27th. Next 4 verses, a new section starts here. It is not a new section, it is a continuation of what we have been talking, but it is a new ideas are presented here now. What is this? The next few verses will deal with what happens to this Jiva after he sheds his gross body. In short, it talks about the post-mortem fate of the Jiva. The post-mortem fate or destiny of this Jiva who has shed his gross body. It's a very, very interesting, most intriguing problem which humanity has faced from the time humanity has come into existence. Always this question has troubled human beings from the most ancient times. What happens after death? Is this not the fact? Even a baby, we all have asked this question to our parents, our mothers. Mother, what happens after death? It's a most intriguing, perplexing, confounding, challenging kind of a question which rises in the minds of, it has to rise. Perhaps it may not rise in the minds of animals because they don't have the faculty to think about in that line. But to human beings, they will be troubled. That person may declare himself to be an atheist, very proud atheist. We have such people. Oh, we don't believe in any God and all. You can declare yourself to be an atheist, agnostic, all these things. But death is a question which will bother him. What happens after death? Humanity has been perplexed by this one phenomenon of death. It is the most interesting phenomenon that we have in this creation. Death. Birth also. At the time of birth, we don't ask much questions. From where did this person come? Is it not? At that time, we are busy celebrating. Instantly, we go to the shop and bring sweets and distribute sweets. And we forget, from where did this entity land up in this? Kahan se aaye? Is it not? We never think about it. But death, because something which we were clinging to suddenly disappears. Where did this entity go? It troubles us. Birth means it makes us forget. Death, again, it brings back to that point where we are made to remember something is mysterious. So death is like that. So this question, it comes in, I don't want to take much time, in Kathopanishad itself. Nachiketa's beautiful question. What happens when a person is dead? Yamaraj, tell me about that. Some people say that everything is over. Some people say that something is left behind. If something is left behind, tell me about that. I want to resolve the mystery of death. The most interesting phenomenon. What happens after death? So, is there a post-mortem destiny of the jiva? Yes, it is there. The whole of the Shastras are actually meant to inform us that there is something called post-mortem fate or destiny of this jiva. You can't escape it. So unlike the Semitic systems, Abrahamic systems, it's all one life business. There is no post-mortem. There is nothing like rebirth there. It is only this Vedic system of thought, only in the Vedic system of thought, Hinduism and Vedas related systems. The systems which were born out of the Vedas, like Buddhism, Jainism and all those, Sikhism, there you have this idea. Apart from this Veda-born systems, in no other systems in the world you will find this idea of rebirth. It's all one birth business. That's why that whole philosophy takes a different color. Our philosophy has got a totally different color. So here the question is, after the shedding of the gross body, this subtle body has got a destiny, it has got a fate. And that fate and destiny completely depends upon the kind of karma that that jiva has performed when that jiva was alive in this body. His actions and his thoughts, two things. What kind of actions this person has performed and what kind of thoughts this person has thought. That will determine the post-mortem fate, the destiny, destination of this jiva. This is what is the Siddhanta. So, depending upon the kind of karma this person has done, broadly speaking, he has got two possibilities, two paths through which he will be proceeding ahead after the death of this gross body. Krishna is talking about two paths. I am summing up here itself before I go ahead. Actually speaking, there are four possibilities. Here Krishna is talking about only two, and other two is assuming actually. In the Upanishads, this is discussed in a very detailed manner. This is what we are going to study here now. That is, this is discussed in the Chandogya Upanishad and many other Upanishads also. Chandogya Upanishad, there's a very detailed description about this very phenomenon. So, actually speaking, there are four possibilities for a jiva who has shed his gross body. What are the four possibilities? The first one is, if the person has experienced Brahman, number one, he is a Brahmagyani. If a person who has experienced Brahman, for him there is no going anywhere. There is no going anywhere. Everything gets dissolved here itself. That is the fate of the person who has realized the Supreme Reality, the fate of a person who has experienced the Supreme Reality. Natasya prana utkramanti ihaivatasya prana praviliyante. Upanishad says, his prana na utkramanti, his pranas don't leave the body. There is nowhere to go. He is the whole, he is the Purnam. Everything becomes silent here itself. He merges into the reality. There is no post-mortem traveling into other spheres of existence. This is one gati. Another gati is a person who has led a very devout life, a devotee's life. He has been living a life which is devoted to Ishvara in a certain form, Saguna Brahman. This is what we are going to talk about here. Now, this is what is related to all of us. Most of us, 99.9%, we all belong to this category, bhaktas. So it is very important for us to understand. This is going to be the destiny of so-called good bhaktas, those who have lived a devout life which is centered in devotion to Parameshvara, Saguna Brahman. Shankaracharya talks about it here. So what happens to this person? This person, when he leaves the body, he will be escorted through a certain path. The description is going to be given here, next few verses. He will be going to a destination. What is going to be the destination of this devotee? His destination will be Brahmaloka. He will reach Brahmaloka, that highest plane of existence in this plane of relativity, in this universe. He will be, in a graded manner, he will reach the Brahmaloka. Now this Brahmaloka is the loka which actually, most of the devotees, Vaishnavas, they will say, Vaikuntha. Is it not? Vishnu Loka Vaikuntha. Shaivites will say, oh, this is what is Kailasa. Oh, he has reached Kailasa. Vaishnavas will say, oh, he has reached Vaikuntha or Vishnu Loka. And nowadays, Sri Ramakrishna's devotees, they say, oh, to Ramakrishna Loke chole gaye. This is all reference to this Brahma Loka, nothing else. Nowadays, we have started saying, oh, he has gone Sharda Loka also. Sharda Mas Loka also. Somebody was recently. We are just talking about these things, Sharda's Loka and Ramakrishna's Loka. It's all referring to this Brahma Loka, the highest plane of existence in this relative universe. And these devotees, they will become liberated in the end of the Kalpa. The Kalpa, what is Kalpa? We have seen in the one cycle of creation, and the end of that cycle of creation, from there, this Jiva, who was a devout follower of Ishvara, he gets liberated from there. So this is one fate of the Jiva who has led a very devoted life. So this path is called as Devayana or Uttarayana. These are all technical terms. I am simplifying it right in the beginning before I go into the verses. So this is one path. This path is characterized by light. Light, because in this path there is no return. This devotee who has led a very beautiful life, a life which is centered in bhakti of Parameshvara, and he has led a very good life. He has never harmed anyone. So this kind of a person, when he leaves his gross body, it is guaranteed that he will, in a graded manner, reach Brahmaloka, and from there he gets liberated. He doesn't come back. This is also referred to as Krama Mukti. Krama Mukti. Mukti, the first one which we talked about is Jivan Mukti. An over of Brahman, when he dies, there is no going anywhere. Everything is silenced here. That is Jivan Mukti. He was free when he was alive. And when he dies, everything becomes silent here. There is no post-mortem transiting into different spheres. That is not there in his case. But this devotee, he transits from this human plane, and in a graded manner he goes into higher and higher spheres of existences, and finally he reaches the Brahma Loka, and from there he gets liberated at the end of Kalpa. This is the second path. Third path, that is the path of those who are very good people, very good human beings, but they are not devotees. They were not devoted to Parameshvara, but they have led very dharmic life. They have never done anything wrong. They have never harmed anybody. They are the people who have desire for all the kinds of worldly pleasures. Good people, but they don't have aspiration, spiritual aspiration. Their life is centered in the so-called enjoying the good things of this world. But they have led a very good life, dharmic life. They have never transgressed the limits of ethics and morality, and they have led a very righteous life. What is going to be the fate of this person? This person will be going through another path, which is known as Pitriyana, or which is also known as Dakshinayana. One is Uttarayana, other is Dakshinayana. And this path is characterized by darkness. Now, when I say this path is characterized by darkness, it is not in some negative sense, as if it is something very evil. No, not in that sense. Here, why it is said that it is characterized by darkness? The thing is that when a jiva goes through this path, he will be reaching some higher planes of existences, some heaven, but not Brahmaloka, okay? Just beneath the Brahmaloka, there are different heavens, different spheres of existences. So he will be attaining one of these lower heavens, and there he will be enjoying all the so-called, the results, the good results of his good actions which he has performed in his human plane. He will be enjoying all those fruits, and then he has to come back to the human plane. So the first one is that path in which there is no coming back, and the second path is that in which there is a coming back. Again you come back, you are born into this human plane. So this path is known as Dakshinayana or Pitriyana. So, now the fourth path, that path is also not discussed here by Krishna. The fourth path is the path taken by absolutely evil people. They are neither bhaktas nor are they good people, means they have spent their life doing all kinds of evil things, harming others, killing others. We see all kinds of evil things. Means people with asuri prakriti, people with demonic nature. Now what is going to be the fate of these people? They are born in lower wombs. They are born in lower spheres, as say animals, insects, plants, trees. These are all lower wombs. So that is the fate of such people who are demonic by nature. So in short, these are the four possibilities, post-mortem fate and destiny of the jiva who sheds his gross body. So two of them actually are not related to us. First one is Jivan Mukti, we are not talking about Jivan Mukti. And the fourth one is the people who are of demonic nature, who are born in lower wombs. We are not discussing about these two. Here Krishna is talking about only two categories of people, one who is a devotee and the other who is not a devotee but has led a good life. Actually, 99% of we all belong to one of these two categories. We are all good people. We have not done harm to anybody. It's a wonderful thing actually. We should know, we should be confident about what kind of life we have led. It's very important. We may not have been a devotee, but I have led a good life, a dharmic life. I have respected the laws and principles of dharma, righteousness, and I have led a good life. In that case, your destiny will be of this kind. After death, you will be taken through the second path, which is known as Dakshinayana or Pitriyana. Through that, you will be reaching some higher heaven, and from there, after some time, you have to come back. Or if you have led a life which is centered in bhakti to Ishvara, then this is going to be your destination. You will be straight away heading towards Brahmaloka, and from there, there is no return. Now, this is what Krishna is actually telling us. In short, it is a map, it's a blueprint of post-mortem existence of the jiva. We can just put it in one life, and in one line, the next four verses are just presenting to us the blueprint or the map of what are the possibilities for this jiva after he dies. He can either be going in this way or that way, all depending upon the kind of life he has led on this human plane. So, now after discussing everything, what is the lesson that we have to learn from this discussion? So we have to be very careful about what kind of a life we are leading here now. That is the conclusion, summary of this discussion. We have to be very careful about what kind of actions we are doing and what kind of thoughts we are thinking here. That is going to determine our post-mortem journey. It can be either towards the Brahmaloka. So you see, after knowing all these things, you can be confident. What kind of a life I have led? You can be very sure that yes, my destiny is going to be this. That kind of a confidence comes. I'll talk about it later. So let's go ahead. So Krishna says, I'm going to just, and here the language used is very archaic. In fact, we have to really bow down to Sri Shankaracharya. If he had not commented, no one would have understood what is the meaning of these verses. Thanks to Shankaracharya's commentary, which brings out the inner meaning of these verses. Beautiful. So here, Sri Krishna is saying here, Yatra kale tvana vrittim avrittim chaiva yoginah prayata yanti tam kalam vakshyami bharatarshapha. Bharatarshapha, the best among the dynasty of Bharatas. Krishna is addressing Arjuna as Bharatarshapha. So beautiful. You are the best among the dynasty of Bharatas. So beautiful. It's a positive way of looking at things, Not, it's always, it's like it's boasting up of one's morale. You're the best. That's a beautiful way of looking at others, never underestimating anybody. So here, Krishna is referring to Arjuna as Bharatarshapha, the best among the Bharata dynasty. What is saying? Yatra kale tu anavrittim chaiva yo. Yatra kale tu anavrittim avrittim chaiva yoginah prayata yanti tam kalam. Krishna is saying here, Yatra kale yoginah prayata. This yogi, Yatra kale, in which time? Actually, it is not time here. Kala can be taken as time. It is actually, Kala refers to the state of the mind here. That state of mind in which this yogi leaves the body, that will determine which will be the course or path that he will be taking. The dying man's state of mind is going to determine the course or the path which he is going to take. This is the meaning. Inner meaning of this verse is what? Yatra kala doesn't mean the time. It doesn't mean the time. It is actually referring to the state of the mind. In a certain state of the mind, when the jiva leaves the gross body, depending upon his state of the mind, he will be taking recourse to a certain path. And the path can be two, one of the two. That is what Krishna is going to talk about here. So everything is the state of the mind. So yatra kale tu anavrittim. So that path through which you don't come back, and the other path through which you come back. One is anavrittim, other is avrittim. One path will be taking you to that Brahmaloka from where you don't come back. The other path is that in which you come back. That is what I am going to tell you. Hey Arjuna, listen to me carefully. I am going to talk about that state of that time or that state of mind of the dying man, owing to which he will be taking recourse to one of these two paths. One will bring him back, other will liberate him forever. So yatra kale tu anavrittim avrittim chaiva yoginah prayata yanti tam kalam vakshyami bharatarshapha. Hey Bharatarshapha, Arjun, I am going to tell about these two courses which this yogi is going to take after his death, based upon his states of the mind. Then, so which are the two courses? Krishna says, Agni Jyoti Aha Shuklah Shanmasa Uttarayanam Tatra Prayata Gachanti Brahma Brahma Vido Janaha. So the first path is called Devayana or Uttarayana. What is this Devayana or Uttarayana? Who goes through this path? Brahma Vido Janaha. Those who are knowers of Brahman. Here, knowers of Brahman means those who have been devoted to Saguna Brahman. Shankaracharya makes this point very clear in his Bhashya. Like most of us, 99.9%, we belong to this category, Bhaktas. We are all devoted to Brahman in a certain form, Saguna Brahman. Beautiful. Our Ishta Devata belongs to this category. our devotion, our love for our Ishta. Ishta can be anybody. Here, most of the followers of Ramakrishna, they will look upon Parabrahman as Sri Ramakrishna. It is Saguna Brahman. Somebody else will look upon that Parabrahman as Shiva, Krishna, Rama, Kali, Durga, no matter. So this is all Saguna Brahman. A person who has been devoted to Saguna Brahman in a certain form, this is going to be the fate of that person. A person who has lived a life which is full of devotion to that supreme reality in a certain form. What is going to be the fate? Now see, there are some terms which are very archaic. They are all terms related to the Vedas. In the Vedas, these, let me just read this translation. Krishna says, Agnihi, Jyotihi, Aha, Shukla, Shanmasa, Uttarayanam. To translate it, literally speaking, Agni is fire, Jyoti is light, and then Aha is day. Then Shukla is Shukla Paksha, which is the bright fortnight. Every month we have two Pakshas. The first 15 days Shukla Paksha and then Krishna Paksha. And then the 6 months of the northern solstice, which is, there are two solstices out there. One is the northern solstice and the southern. So summer solstice and winter solstice. The summer solstice every year starts from Makara Sankranti, 12th January. It is considered to be so sacred. But here actually it is not the question of time here. Shankaracharya makes this very point very clear. By Agni, Jyoti, Aha, all these terms, it is not fire as such. It is not light as such. Shankaracharya says what is the meaning of these words is, these are all the deities, the presiding deity of Agni, the presiding deity of light, the presiding deity of day, the presiding deity of Shukla Paksha, and the presiding deity of Uttarayana. They are all deities, they are all reference to gods, not the supreme God. In this creation of Parameshwara, there are different gods. In the Vedas, there is worship of these gods like Agni, Indra, Mitra, Varuna, and they are all very powerful beings. Now just imagine, just like we are human beings, in the higher planes of existence, there are different beings. They are more powerful than we are. They are like gods. And they are the different centers of power through which the human beings can be benefited in worldly sense. That's why those who want to get some worldly benefits, we propitiate these different gods and deities. See, the whole of Vedic Karmakanda is based upon these propitiation of these deities or these lower gods. If you propitiate this god, you get this benefit. If you propitiate that god, you get this benefit. So what I want to say is that just like we are the living beings in this plane of existence, there are several beings in higher spheres which are not seen by us, but they are existing. Now what Krishna wants to say is here, now this person who has been a devotee of Parameshwara, when he passes away, when he dies, he will be escorted by these gods. That is the meaning actually. This happens. Just like, they are escorts. They will guide us. Now this person who is a worshipper of Saguna Brahman, this Agni Devata will come and take him, guide him towards Brahmaloka. And it is not that Agni Devata will take him till the end. Agni Devata takes him till a certain point, and then other god comes. That god escorts him later. In this way, in a graded manner, these gods, these divine beings, they guide this jiva towards its destiny or destination of Brahmaloka. That is the meaning. Now this whole course where these deities, Agni is a deity, light is a deity, day refers to a deity, these different gods, they are guiding this so-called departed soul towards its destiny of Brahmaloka. This is one course. And what is the speciality of this Uttarayana or Devayana? The speciality is that it is characterized by light. Why it is said that it is characterized by light? Because this is that path through which there is no return. I'm giving you the inner essence of this meaning. Otherwise, it's a beautiful verse it is. Many people, they try to interpret it in so many ways, but actually the inner essence of this very enigmatic 2-3 verses, which has been very enigmatic for most of the people. But the inner meaning of these verses is this, that simply speaking, it is not referring to the time as such, it refers to the state of the mind of the dying person. If the state of the mind of the dying person is such that he has lived a life of devotion to Parameshwara, he will be escorted by these divine beings called Agni, Jyoti, Aha, Shukla and Shanmasa. These are all divine beings, they are all gods, lower gods. They will escort this jiva till it reaches the destination of Brahmaloka, from where there is no return. So this is what is referred to as Uttarayana. The fate of the jiva after it dies, if the jiva has lived a life which is centered in devotion to Saguna Brahman or Parameshwara. Beautiful. Now most of the devotees, it's very important for us. Most of the devotees, if they have lived this kind of a life which is devoted or centered in the worship of your Ishta, this is going to happen. We should be confident that we can attain this. A dying man should be confident. That confidence is presented in Ishopanishad. So beautiful it is. Ishopanishad, towards the end, there's a presentation of a dying man. And the dying man, see, he has lived this kind of a life. A very righteous life, a life which was devoted to a higher reality. And the dying man is so confident that he is saying that Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hitam mukam tatvam pushan apavrunu satya dharmaya trishtaye. He is straight away praying to that supreme reality. You see, we have to visualize the dying man. What is the state of the mind of this dying person? See, we all have to come and face this situation someday or the other. It is only a matter of time. And what we are doing here is just a preparation of that. Now, that confidence will come only when we have lived that kind of a life of devotion to Parameshwara. If a person has lived that kind of a life of devotion to Parameshwara, that dying man will have tremendous yoga balam, which was talked about in the earlier verses. Shankaracharya so beautifully says, what is that yoga balam? That strength which comes from a habitual practice of practicing spiritual absorption. When throughout the life you have practiced true devotion, at the time of death you will be endowed with an unspeakable, indescribable strength. Not physical strength, it is a strength coming from this kind of a life which you have lived. It gives you tremendous confidence to that dying person, and that dying person can openly demand, as it was given in the Ishopanishad. He says, what is that? Hiranmayena patrena satyasya apihitam mukam. That truth is covered by the golden orb. Means Maya. Maya is covering the truth. And he's saying, he's praying to the Supreme Reality, O Supreme Reality, remove this covering and show me the reality. Just see, now this, why we are discussing this is that to know these are the possibilities for all of us who have to come and face the final moments in our life, no matter when that time comes. So, this is the point. And then he says, the next verse in the Ishopanishad is beautiful. Agne naya supatharai. The dying man is saying, hey Agni, naya. Naya means now escort me through this path. I'm just referring to Ishopanishad. Where is it? There also the term Agni comes. Agni Devata. Agni, now you escort me towards that my destination, which is going to Brahmaloka, from where there is no return. And I'll be liberated from that. So that is what Krishna is speaking about here. So this is the one path. This dying person who has practiced devotion to Saguna Brahman, this is going to be his fate. He will be escorted by these gods, Agni and others. And these devatas, they are all Ativahika devatas. Shankaracharya elsewhere he says, Ativahika means they escort us to higher spheres. And he reaches Brahmaloka from where there is no return. Now, The other case, this is one path, Uttarayana. Now what is Dakshinayana? Again, that also refers to that state of the mind of the dying person who was not a devotee, who didn't practice devotion to Parameshwara, but who has led a good life. He has lived his life based upon the principles of righteousness. Now what is going to be his fate? Who is going to escort him? He also is going to be escorted by different gods, but that path will be different. Now what are the gods there? You see. Krishna says, Dhumo ratris tatha Krishna Shanmasa Dakshinayanam Tatra Chandramasam Jyotihi Yogi Prapya Nivartate. Krishna says, in this person's case, this person who has lived a very good, righteous life, he has not been a devotee. So see, we should know now which category we belong to. But good people will have one of these two fates. So we won't be having the first fate, Jivan Mukti. That doesn't come to us because we have not strived for that. The last thing also will not come. Being born in some lower wombs also will not come if we have led a decent, righteous life. So we can be sure about what is going to happen to us after death. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful mapping given to us by Bhagavan Krishna to understand these are the possibilities waiting to happen to us. So if we have led a good life, these are the two possibilities for all of us. So along with leading a righteous life, if you have been a devotee, then your course will be the first one, from where there is no return. And if you have not been a devotee, then your course is going to be the second one, through which you will be reaching some heaven, enjoying the pleasures there, and again you will be born in the human world. So that is what Krishna is saying in this verse. He is saying, Dhumo. Aga Dhuma means smoke. It is not smoke which is being referred to. The Devata. It is the Devata which is being referred to here. A divine being. So this person will be escorted by a Devata which is referred to as Dhuma, smoke. Ratri, night. Now see, in the first verse it was aha, day. Here it is night. It is because this is characterized by darkness. Darkness in the sense there is returning to the human plane. That is the only meaning. Darkness is not in some evil sense. It is characterized by darkness in the sense that in this path you have to come back to the human plane. So Dhuma is smoke, Ratri is night, and the dark fortnight, which is Krishna Paksha. Then Shanmasa Dakshinayanam, and the 6 months of the southern solstice. These are all Devatas, okay? You should understand, these are all Devatas. Shankaracharya beautifully says, wonderful. These are all Devatas who will be escorting this so-called Jiva towards the attainment of some lower heaven. And then from that, Yogi Prapya Nivartate. This yogi, after having enjoyed his karma phala there, when his karma phala is exhausted, once again he has to be born in this human body. So beautiful. In this way, Krishna takes up next verse where he says, Shukla Krishne Gati Hete Jagata Shashvate Mate Ekaya Yatyana Vrittim Anyaya Vartate Punaha. Krishna says, this is summarizing of what he has spoken about in the last 2 verses. In the last 2 verses he spoke about one path in which he is escorted by the gods characterized by light. In the other path, he spoke about the path in which gods escort this dying man, but which is characterized by darkness. The destination of the first one is Brahmaloka and liberation from there, and the destination of the second path is attainment of some heaven and then returning from there to the human plane. This is what the two, one is Shukla Krishna Gati, one is Shukla and Krishna, one is bright path, other is the dark path. Dark not in some evil sense, only in the sense that the person has to come back to this human plane. So Shukla Krishna Gati Hete Jagata Shashvate Mate. These are the 2 gatis, the 2 paths or 2 courses which the dying man will be taking to. And this is Shashvata. As long as this creation is there, these paths are also there, because every jiva dies. The jiva after death will be going through one of these two paths. Ekaya yatyanavrityam anyaya vartate punaha. Through one path, he does not come back, and through other path, he comes back to this mortal plane. It is just a summarizing of the earlier two verses. Now comes a beautiful verse, second last verse. Now, why all these things are being told to us? So that things become clear to us. It's a very beautiful verse. Very important, very practically applicable to all of us. Krishna says, Naite sriti partha janan yogi muhyati kaschana tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhavarjuna. Krishna is saying, Na ete sriti partha janan yogi muhyati kaschana. Having gained the knowledge of these different possibilities. Now see, we can say that we have gained the knowledge of this. This is what is kept in reserve for all of us. This is what is kept in reserve for all of us. Those who have led good life. Good life plus devotion, good life minus devotion. This is the only difference. A good righteous life plus bhakti. Bhakti to Parameshwara, and good righteous life minus bhakti to Parameshwara. These are the two things. So we should know to which category we belong to. And we can be confident that we are going to go in this very way. It's a beautiful thing. So here Krishna says, Naite sruti partha janan. Hey Partha Arjuna, anyone who has been, anyone means not anyone, with all these bhaktas and yogis, Naite sruti partha janan yogi muhyati kaschana. This yogi, we are all yogis, we are all devotees. This yogi is no more confused or deluded regarding what is going to happen after death. Now it's clear for him, because he has been informed about these two paths, the two possibilities waiting to happen in the life of the jiva. These are the two possibilities. Now he is very sure, yes, I have lived a good life. What is there to be fear about? What a beautiful thing it is. Now yogi muhyati kaschana, he is no more deluded. A tremendous confidence comes into his life. If I have lived a life which was devoted to Saguna Brahman, definitely the first course will be my course. And if you have led a life which is very righteous, perhaps, but I was never a devotee, even then the second courses will be my course, in which I will be attaining some higher sphere, and from there I will be coming back. But definitely I am not going to be born in some lower womb. That kind of a confidence will come. So beautiful. So Krishna is saying, Naite sriti partha janan yogi muhyati kaschana. This yogi is no more deluded, because he is informed. He is not in delusion. His confusion is not there. He knows what is going to happen at the time of death. Otherwise this question comes, no? What will happen? What will happen? What will happen? But going by the yardstick presented here, we all can be very confident. At the time of death, this is what is going to happen to us if we have led either of these two kinds of lives. The first life, a righteous life plus devotion. The second is a righteous life minus devotion. The two kinds of destiny. So naite sruti partha janan yogi muhyati kaschana. Therefore, what Krishna is saying, beautiful conclusion. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhavarjuna. So beautiful. After having known all these things, Krishna is telling to Arjuna, Krishna is telling to all of us. Therefore, become a yogi. Because that is the best course of action. Become a yogi means become a devotee. Be devoted to Parameshwara and lead a righteous life. So your path, this higher path will be guaranteed. This is what most of the devotees can confidently aspire for. Jivan Mukti is meant for those people who have experienced the reality here itself. Usually Upanishad stresses that only. Let me tell this point very clearly. Upanishad always stresses Jivan Mukti. Why should we wait till the death? You can lead a wonderful life once you know the true nature of your own self. The usual stress of the Upanishad is always on that and that alone. But owing to several deficiencies in our life, we fail to attain that. No problem. This is the second best possibility which is waiting to happen in each one of our life, which is Krama Mukti, not Jivan Mukti, but Krama Mukti, where the devotee has lived a very devout life, a righteous life. This is 100% going to take place. So all this description is meant to infuse confidence in us, that at the time of death, these are the two possibilities. The first one is not there and the fourth one is also not there. So we are filtering out. It's like filtering out. The fourth one, no question at all. I have led a righteous life. I have led a righteous life. The fourth one is impossible. First one also, we have not got it. So these are the two possibilities. Beautiful. So what is there to fear about? If we have led a beautiful, devout life and righteous life, this is going to come into our life. You will be escorted by these gods. These divine beings will come and they will take you to the Brahma Loka, or for you maybe Ramakrishna Loka, for somebody else it may be Vaikuntha or Kailasa, whatever it is, you will be escorted towards that, and from there you are liberated. So beautiful. So this is the extra. That's why towards the end Krishna is saying, Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Yoga Yukto Bhavarshana. That's why, my dear children, become a yogi. Become a yogi. Become a yogi. Means to be devoted. Let your mind always be saturated with bhakti for Saguna Brahman. Your Ishta Bhakti. Let your heart be fully saturated with Ishta Bhakti, knowing that that is the supreme reality. So this is going to be the fate of that person. So beautiful, amazing, so practical. This is practical. This is applicable for 99.9% of the bhaktas. Not the first one, not the last one, but these are the two possibilities waiting to happen in every life. The last verse Krishna says, I'll just take it up that and begin. Then after having told all these things, Krishna is saying, Krishna is praising. Krishna said, Tasmad yogi bhavarjuna, is it not? Yoga yukto bhavarjuna, you practice yoga. So Krishna is now praising this yoga. We all have to be yogis, and this is in praise of yoga. So what is yoga? Vedeshu yaggeshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punyaphalam pradishtam atyeti tat sarvamidam viditva yogi param sthanamupayati chadyam. Krishna is saying here, having known this, viditva. Viditva means having known. We have been informed about all these things. These are the possibilities waiting to happen in our life. Having known all this, this yogi, Krishna said, be a yogi. Now if we have become a yogi, if we have lived that kind of a life, this yogi, what will this yogi do? This yogi will choose the first path. He will not choose the second path. A devotee will never want to come back into this mortal plane. Why? Why would he not want to come back to this mortal plane? Krishna had told, this mortal plane is dukkhalayam ashashvatam, is it not? A few verses earlier, Krishna had told, this mortal plane is the very plane, abode of dukkham, and it is ashashvatam. It is ashashvatam, it is momentary, it is relative. Here nobody can be happy. So a true devotee will never want to go through the second path. So this idea becomes very clear. Now see, Krishna is bringing clarity into our minds. What we should be aspiring for, and what is the possibility waiting to happen to all of us. The clarity. Actually, the whole thing is the play of clarity and unclarity. I always say, Viveka. It's clarity. The more clarity comes, the direction of our life becomes very clear. What are we doing here? Every moment that we live and we spend here, it should be with this clarity. Ultimately, where is it going to take us? Now this clarity comes. So this viditva, having known this yogi will always choose the first path by giving up all the fruits of his good actions. His fruits of his good actions may make him eligible for the prapti of lower heaven, but he says, no, I don't want this lower heaven. I want that Brahmaloka itself, from where I won't come back. So, Krishna is saying here, Vedeshu yagyeshu tapasu chaiva daneshu yat punya phalam pratishtam. All those punya phalam means meritorious fruits. If you do good actions, you will get good results, isn't it? Good fruits. Punya phalam. Papam and punyam. Bad actions will result into papa, bad results. We suffer from that. Good actions will bring about good results. So, to get good results, in the olden days, people would study the Vedas, Vedeshu. If you study the Vedas, that brings some meritorious good results. Vedeshu, Yagyeshu, you perform Yagya. Through that also you get Punya Phalam. Tapasya, austerity. People do austerity. Through that also you get Punya Phalam. And Daneshu, you do Dana. All good deeds. All these good, noble deeds, they will bring about noble results. But this yogi says, he transcends all these things. He says, I don't want this punya phalam at all. My eye is fixed on that supreme Parameshwara alone. I want nothing else but Ishvara and Ishvara alone. So, Vedeshu yagyeshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punya phalam pratishtam atyeti tat sarvam. He transcends all these things. He rejects. He says, I don't want all these things. I want that supreme reality alone. Atyeti tat sarvam idam viditva. Having known this, now he has known, we know all these things, so this is going to the fate. If you go through this path, this is the fate. If you go through the second path, this is the fate. The first and the fourth one we just reject. So having known all these things, this yogi will reject these lower heavens and he will have his eyes fixed on that Parameshwara and Parameshwara alone. Atyeti tat sarvam idam viditva yogi param sthanam upaiti. He will attain that param sthanam. Means Brahmaloka, and from there he will be liberated. So this is the beautiful description we find. So with this, the 8th chapter comes to an end. In the next class, we will just summarize the whole thing. This beautiful chapter. This chapter has been very, in fact, Atman, Brahman, these are all wonderful, highest reality. But for most of us, these things are more relatable because most of us may not rise to the heights of Atman realization. For them, this is a big, big support in their spiritual life. This knowledge which we have gained and the confidence that it instills in the minds of the devotees. Yes, as I said in the Isha Upanishad, so beautiful. That dying man is so confident. I have lived a life which was centered in Parameshwara and I have lived a very righteous life. Now you remove this covering and show me the reality. And Agni, oh Agni, take me. He is dictating the God. Come on, escort me towards the higher spheres. So that is the kind of confidence which will come into the life of all of us if we have lived this kind of a life. So these are the two lives which we should be thinking about. The first and the last one is out of question. Either you are a devotee living a righteous life, or you may not be that kind of. Many people, they are not devotees of that kind, but still they are righteous people. So their fate is also of this kind, that they will be attaining a higher sphere and they will be coming back. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tatsat.